Hi, you're here at the Queen Mary. I'm the ghost host, Sophia Temperilli, and we are here today at the Nick Groff event. I'm just stopping by to say hi, but it's always good to get an interview with Scott, our family friend.
So, Sophia, can you tell our viewers a little bit about how you got involved in the paranormal field?
Well, actually right here on this very ship. I started in the paranormal when I was 8 years old, and my first investigation was on the Queen Mary with a psychic named Peter James. My parents had come to the ship for their anniversary on the ghost tour with Peter James. And I don't know why, I just got jealous for some reason. I mean, 8 years old, all you think of ghosts is like Halloween. And then I told my mom and they took me on the tour, and almost 10 years later, here I am.
So I understand that you've been investigating on the Queen Mary for a very long time. Can you tell our viewers one of your biggest experiences you've had on the ship?
Definitely, I would say my biggest experience on a ship would be investigating with Ghost Adventures, because, you know, every time I've investigated here before, I think one of the most active places is the pool area. And I know everyone says that, but it's definitely true. My favorite place is the engine room, but I would say the most active would be the pool area. And I've never seen the pool area with the lights turned out before in my life. It's always been low lights. And once the lights were turned out, the activity in there, or the presence, it just really got like amplified. There's a spirit in the pool area I call the Shadow Man, and he's a very dark entity, and that was just a very crazy night. You know, Zach was rushed and we all got recordings, and it was just really such an amazing experience, and I would love to, you know, try that again with the lights fully turned out. It was crazy, and I can't even, you know, name off all of the things. I know at one point, you know, the Shadow Man had actually, like, you know, kind of pulled me back from what I was saying about him, just because he's seen me so many years and always, you know, intimidated me, because he's not the nicest ghost you'll ever meet. He's not Casper.
Now, can you tell us what your experience was like? Because I know you had investigated with Ghost Adventures. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about different experiences you had? Because I know you had several different ones on board.
You mean on Ghost Adventures or after?
When you were on with them.
Well, definitely, I think, you know, we got some recordings. I can't really remember, but it was a very angry man's voice. He's basically cussing us out, so that was interesting. You know, one of the crew members, one of the main three, was actually rushed. My mom actually heard that. You know, he felt it, and then my mom's like, no, I heard that. And then definitely just with the lights turned out, you could feel like a heaviness in the room, which I just can't fully explain, because, you know, it was like, you know, a black mass over you, and that was definitely the biggest experience, because I've never felt anything like that in my 10 years of investigating.
Now, I know that we've talked before, but you have said that you've had experiences throughout your whole life. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about what you've had happen in different locations you've been to?
Well, to start out, this is something I don't fully remember. My mom does, and so does my dad. But when I was younger, I would, fast forward a little bit, I lived in a haunted house. The activity really started up when I was 9 years old, about a year being into the paranormal. But prior to that, when I was about 2 or 3 years old, I would actually stand in my laundry room and just stare. I was just frozen with, I guess, fear. I'm not really sure what I was looking at. I don't even remember it, but my mom said that the only way that she would get me to stop doing that is to actually move me from that location. So I guess the activity's just really been with me my whole life. And since then, you know, being in the paranormal, I've investigated the Queen Mary, I mean, probably like 100 times or so. It's just been part of my life these 10 years. And, you know, I've investigated the Glen Tavern Inn, obviously Tombstone. The Glen Tavern Inn, I had a really interesting experience. I was there with Chad Lindbergh, Debbie Constantino, you, Scott, my parents, Amy Goodwin, and I was walking down this hallway. They have movie posters everywhere, and I was like, well, that's really cool. I'm gonna go check those out. And my throat just really started to feel tight, and I was like, okay, that's weird. Maybe there's just like a difference in air, you know, old building. And then the further I walked down, the tighter my throat felt. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I should stop walking down here. And then I told my mom, and she had asked the groundskeeper, and he actually said that the previous groundskeeper had actually hung himself off the floor above 4 years earlier. So that was just one of the weirdest paranormal experiences I've ever had.
I know that you've done a lot of investigating. Is there somebody you look up to in the field, or do you have a mentor?
I would say definitely my parents are my mentors, and I appreciate everyone in the field. There's not one single person I look up to, just because, everyone is able to come up with new techniques and go out there and do stuff. So I feel like anyone who's in this field is very admirable, because it's not something every single person can do.
Can you tell our viewers, do you have a favorite piece of equipment you like to use?
Mm-hmm. Definitely my favorite piece of equipment. I know it's going to sound a little weird, but it's the Ghost Radar app. It definitely generates a lot of responses, and for the years I've used it, it's very portable. It's just on your phone, and it actually works. I know it doesn't sound like it does, but it does work. When I was at Sunnyside Cemetery, I'd actually gotten, friends and brother, and at the location we were at a World War I veteran. His grave, and right next to him was his sister. So it was really amazing, because, how would a device know that? So I think it's really amazing because it's just very portable, easy to use, and that would be my favorite piece.
So if somebody wants to get involved in a paranormal field, what advice would you give them?
Definitely I would say, research the location first, just so you know what you're getting into. Always, even if you're not in a team, take someone with you, because there are dangers. I mean, ghosts can punch, slap, burn you. You don't really know what could happen. Or, if you're going to an abandoned building, you could fall through something, and it's just always good to have someone there to also validate responses. So take someone with you, do research, and you don't need fancy equipment right off the bat. You can just use like a recorder on your phone, a flashlight, or like a digital recorder you buy at Target. So, you don't need everything to be elaborate at first, and just, do research and be safe.
Now, is there a location that's on your bucket list you'd love to be able to do?
Oh, there's so many places that I would love to go investigate. Definitely castles in England. I was saying the insane asylum. I've been hearing about it a lot recently, so I'm very excited to see if I'm able to get into the location. It just sounds amazing. It was built in, I think, the 1800s, and used to be like, they used to have a farm there, and it was for like poor people, and then it was actually called the Poor Farm. So, and then it went on to be a rehabilitation center, and then eventually moved over. So it's actually still running, just not in the same location.
Now, I also know that you just recently graduated from high school, so now you're going to be doing a lot more different things. Can you tell our viewers what you're going to be doing for the future?
Definitely. Since I've graduated high school, I definitely am going to work more on my radio show. It's such a weird thing to say. I've been in school, I think, 12 years if you include preschool, so it's very new for me, but I would love to do more investigations. I just recently investigated Sunnyside Cemetery in Signal Hill, California, which was a lot of fun. I'm hoping to go to this insane asylum very close by. So I'm just can't wait to see what the future holds. Definitely working on my radio show, going to be doing more interviews, hopefully going to more events, and it's just very interesting to see what's going to be happening.
Now, can you tell our viewers a little bit about the radio show and how you got involved into broadcast?
Definitely. Well, every Saturday from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific time, 3 to 4 Eastern time, I'm live on air on liveparanormal.com. My show is called The Ghost Host. I started the show when I was 12 years old, and it will be going on 6 years in June. Basically, what happened was, I'd been in the field for about, I would say, 4 years prior, and there's not many kids in the field, so I was like, there's got to be other people out there with like home haunting issues and stuff, and I would love to know what professionals say about it and just help people. So I asked my parents if I could start a radio show, and with some convincing, they finally agreed. My dad had been offered a show on liveparanormal.com by the site founder, Rob Sarek, prior to it, because he wrote the book about Peter James, Heaven Can You Hear Me? So they talked to the site founder and said, I don't want a show, but my daughter does. And he said, okay, we'll try it out. And, 6 years later, here I am. Well, you can contact me through myestatewish@gmail.com, and then my manager will, book everything because I am still 17, so I can't book everything myself. Well, thank you for all your support, Scott. It means a lot to my family and I.